All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. And we have my wonderful guest tonight, Marla Reson. Myla Reson, who is the one of the grandoms of activism in the West Coast. And here we go. Well, welcome. We have a lot to talk about. But first, I want you to tell everybody about a little bit about your background and all this. And it's really great to see you.
Well, Sandy, I am so honored to be with you, and I'm delighted. Does that little 20 up at the top say that so far we've got 20 people watching?
Oh,
Uh,
we'll get more. It's just the beginning. It's
right.
just the
No,
beginning.
no, I'm listen, 20's great. 20's great. And I wrote a bio because I was thinking that maybe you would use it to introduce me, but you want me to
Well,
talk about
I did the
myself?
bio in the do you want me to read it? I mean,
Oh, oh, no.
I did it in I put it in the show notes, but we'd really like to hear it from you and not have me read, "Oh, she did this and she's that." No, 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 no. You go for it, baby. Be animated. Be you.
Okay, well, some of you know me because I am constantly piping up about nuclear power.
Yes.
Um, but that's just one of my interests, but it's a very important interest these days. And what I have noticed is that there are a lot of people on the left, especially young people on the left, who seems to have been persuaded by a very well funded, in my opinion, campaign put out by the nuclear power industry that somehow nuclear power is needed to address our climate catastrophe, and it's a big lie that unfortunately a lot of people have been convinced about, and I think in part because the nuclear power industry is extraordinarily well funded, and they are able to fund academics and politicians
Mm.
galore. And you know, Sandy, I'm just kind of veering from giving the audience all of my credentials, but let me say that one of the things that's been particularly disturbing is how influential and high-ranking Democrats have managed to subvert, or what's the word? I guess subvert works. Um, Funding that had been allocated for to address to address our climate crisis and global warming, and to use that funding to throw billions upon billions of dollars into the sustaining the unsustainable nuclear power industry. And one example of that would be Jennifer Granholm in Michigan, where she has used something. I'm trying to remember exactly what the price tag is, but it's possibly $13 billion devoted to the to infrastructure and addressing global warming, to restart what some of us call, Kevin Camps from Beyond Nuclear tells us, is a zombie nuclear power plant, Palisades. Palisades was
Mhm.
decommissioned years ago. It
Mhm.
was are you familiar with
Mhm.
Palisades?
Mhm.
And now they want to restart it and throw billions of dollars into restarting it. We don't know if it'll happen again because there's so many old broken parts at that Palisades reactor. It would be a real nightmare. But
Mhm.
it's diverting money. That was the word I was looking for. Diverting.
Diverting, yes. Whoop, divert, yep. Yeah.
Diverting money from.
But the government's great at diverting money.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. So Jennifer Granhold's doing that over in Michigan at Palisades, near is it Lake Erie? I think possibly
Yeah.
Lake.
Oh,
But
in
then here
Michigan. Lake Superior? No, wait. Not
it's
Lake
Lake
Erie.
Erie.
Lake
I,
Michigan. Lake
I,
Michigan. Lake Michigan.
Well,
There's Lake Erie, it's Ohio, and then me, I'm in
okay,
Lake Erie. I live near Lake Erie. And then
okay,
there's Michigan, Lake Michigan. So,
okay. Well, I'll have to look it up. But
yeah.
out here in California, there was a historic deal that was made a few years ago to decommission the last nuclear power plant in California. That's the Diablo Canyon nuclear
Yeah,
power
that's
plant.
the one I have the picture of. I think I have the picture. Yep.
Huh.
Is it uh
So,
yeah, I think it's this one that I'm going to just pull up real quick. This
so
one? Yep,
let's take a yes. There it
that's
is.
it.
That's
Look
Diablo.
at
That's
that.
an
And of course it's right on the water.
well.
I
Almost all nuclear power plants
know.
are on the river.
I know. I
Um,
know. Hudson River was
water,
ours.
pardon me?
Ours Indian Point was on the Hudson River.
Right, right. They're all on the water because
Mhm.
water is required to cool and to keep these reactors from blowing up. The
A
only
lot.
nuclear power plant in the United States that is not on the water is the Palo Verde nuclear power plant in Arizona, with three gigantic reactors. They actually, at Palo Verde, they aggregate municipal wastewater from around the state of Arizona, and then they treat that water and they evaporate 27,000 gallons of water every
Oh my
second
God.
of every day to keep those reactors from blowing up.
Mm.
That's I have to repeat it
Yeah, that's
because it's
crazy.
an astonishing
Huge.
number.
Huge.
27,000 gallons of water every minute of every day is evaporated. And when you look
Whew.
at an aerial shot of that facility in the desert, in the Arizona desert, you see normally columns of steam rising up, and that steam from the evaporation of that water usually is carried by the jet stream eastward, where it contributes to climate chaos. It doesn't precipitate where the water is needed in the desert.
Right.
Instead, it contributes to big storms to the east of Arizona.
Does it?
And
Wow.
that nuclear power plant
Oh,
is one of the focus my focuses. And I have to tell you that when I moved back to California after having lived in New Mexico for many years, I got very involved in shutting down nuclear power in California. And um, not long after Fukushima blew up,
yeah.
um,
Terrible.
we had a leak of radiation at the San Onofre nuclear power plant, which is between San Diego and Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
and very involved in the community effort to shut San Onofre down. And it was pretty remarkable because Fukushima had recently happened.
Right.
Um, there was heightened awareness about the dangers of nuclear power, and
Mm-hmm.
people who lived in the vicinity of San Onofre, it's a highly populated area in Southern California. People started paying attention and arriving at their little municipal governments and lobbying. Can you hear the siren in the background?
Yeah, that's a city siren. I don't hear anything like that. I hear nothing where I am in the middle of the nowhere.
It's a nice sound effect. At any rate,
I
at
should
any
have it
rate,
on my sound effects. Oh,
when the San Onofre sprung a leak
yeah.
because Southern California Edison had become very greedy, and they had contracted with Mitsubishi in Japan to build them some new steam generators that were faulty because they got greedy. They wanted to produce more electricity, and they removed a lot of the structure within the generators that would have stabilized all of the tubes that the water goes through, the steam goes through, in order to produce electricity. And and one of those generators was offline. The other one sprung a leak, and some radioactivity was released. And people got very active, and they managed to persuade various municipal governments around Southern California to to prevent Southern California Edison from restarting that very dangerous nuclear power plant.
Right.
And in that process, there were a couple of city councilors in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles County. Live in Santa Monica, but I'm in Los Angeles County. And at that time, I was actually living in the city of Los Angeles. And my city councilman, Bill Rosendahl, and another city councilman um, crafted legislation in support in solidarity with all of the little municipalities around Southern California that had written letters and passed resolutions at the behest of the many citizens who became active and worked to keep Southern California Edison from restarting San Onofre. And many of us were lobbying to get the Los Angeles City Council, the kind of the big kid on the block, to act in solidarity and write to pass a resolution to urge Southern California Edison from restarting San Onofre. And what I found out during that struggle was that the city of Los Angeles is not only invested in the Arizona Palo Verde nuclear power plant, but Los Angeles was actually instrumental in getting that nuclear power plant built. And the
Jesus
big
Christ.
decision,
Boy.
the big decision for Los Angeles to buy in to the construction of the Palo Verde nuclear power plant. By the way, Palo Verde, two Spanish words, palo meaning stick, and verde meaning green, green stick. So,
A nuclear green stick, huh? Jeez.
at any rate, so the at the time that the city of Santa Monica bought in, um, we were going through it was the Carter administration, and the city councilors were worried about the the energy shortage, and they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that
I
there was
remember
enough
that.
electricity to power this metropolis, I guess you might call it, this sprawling metropolis.
Yes, and we've seen how it burns now too.
Right. And so, just not long after 3 Mile Island, the
I
big
remember
nuclear
that.
power
Oh yeah, we were
accident.
terrified.
Right. Well, right after that, not long after that, Los Angeles decided that it would be a good idea to invest in nuclear power.
I don't mean to laugh. It's all just absurd.
The reason I learned about it was
Uh,
The Los Angeles City Council was dragging its feet, and the municipally run Los Angeles Department of Water and Power
hmm.
was opposing a resolution to ask uh, Southern California Edison not to restart the nuclear power plant to our south. And the reason that they were opposing it was because they were co-owners in
Oh,
a nuclear power plant in Arizona.
oh my gosh.
So that's what really piqued my interest, and I started doing research, and I found out more and more. I was really trying to figure out, well, as I said, they're in the desert. They need municipal wastewater to keep their three enormous reactors from blowing up.
It's crazy.
How much water are they using in the desert?
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
and I found a pamphlet that had been put out by the operator of the nuclear power plant for teachers to use for school children, and it was in that pamphlet that I found that figure. I found that I think there are three reactors, and I found the figure of 9,000 gallons evaporated every minute
Mm.
of every hour of every day
It's
for
just
one.
it's
So 3 times 9 is 27,000, and that's 27,000 gallons of what, when all three reactors are running, which they usually are, that's 27,000 gallons of water that could otherwise be used. Sandy, what
yeah.
do you think that water might be used for in the desert? That
Well,
means wastewater.
the wastewater, it could be
Yeah, if you weren't using it for nuclear power, what
it would
might
have
you use?
been you would have saved it for firefighting or for drinking because they can clean it. I mean, so many different things. Household use, I mean, a lot.
And then possibly replenishing the very depleted
Yeah,
aquifer.
there you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, revegetation.
So
But
many
no.
things. But no. Well, here we had the problem with the Indian Point, and not far from where I live is the West Valley, which is the dump. Which for years we have been in and out of the fight to where the frig are they going to put all the barrels of the shit in the. It's still not settled. It's still sitting there in West Valley. All of the nuclear waste that's not being used, that can't be used in the casks, and the cement and all that. Still, and that's not far from me. That's like 40 miles from me, 50 miles from me, West Valley. It's disgusting. And we talked, I remember in 2017, we were dealing with, okay, this whole big, nothing happened because nobody knows where to put it. And that's another problem with nuclear. Now, to be fair, there are some people who are trying to tell me that there are newer kinds of reactors that are being built and the science is changing and there's thorium and all. So, I mean, I guess I have to. I mean, to learn about these things, I don't have to like them.
Well, a good resource for learning about thorium is there's a website
Hmm.
that's run by an organization that Helen Caldicott, Dr. Helen Caldicott,
Yes, she's wonderful.
founder of Physicians for Social Responsibility, and she has an organization called Beyond Nuclear. So if you can go to
Okay.
beyondnuclear.org and Google Helen Caldicott and thorium, and what you learn is that, well, I mean, I've been hearing about thorium for years.
Okay.
It's one of those things that basically I don't believe there's a prototype, an actual working prototype.
Oh, okay.
It's just like the so-called small
Hmm.
modular reactors, which are not so small. And I didn't mention yet, but I am the co-host on a radio show, co-producer and co-host on a radio show called California Solartopia, and I do that
Yes.
with the star of the show, who Harvey Wasserman,
Hmm.
amazing anti-nuclear and activist and visionary, a sustainability visionary, and he he, um, he likes to call the so-called small modular reactors small mythological reactors because, again, for the most part, they are they're no prototypes.
Right.
We've been, they just keep throwing money that could otherwise be used to develop. I mean, there and there's so much. There's so many answers that we could get to and solutions that we could get to more quickly if this so much money, so many billions upon billions of dollars weren't diverted to shore up old nuclear power plants and to try to develop new ones. I'm trying to remember what I read that Helen said, but I think that one of the main drawbacks with the thorium reactors that they're working on so far is that they produce plutonium,
Ugh.
weapons
Yeah.
grade plutonium. And
Just what we need, more weapons. Yeah, let's just make plutonium. God.
and you know, I don't
Ah,
know how much you know about plutonium, but for 11 years straight, I worked as a community organizer fighting a dump for plutonium
that's right.
contaminated nuclear weapons waste in New Mexico.
Yes, you did.
Um, and I voraciously read all kinds of scientific papers and really learned more than anyone should about plutonium. And I saw all of these images of the attempts to contain plutonium. You cannot contain plutonium. That's why they wanted to put it a quarter of a mile below the ground in ancient salt bed. Because if you put plutonium in a container, it eventually eats its way. It reacts
Hmm.
to everything around it, and it eats its way through whatever it happens to be in. So I saw pictures of plutonium in barrels where the plutonium, the barrel started bulging and the plutonium ate its way through. When I was working in New Mexico, a lot of the plutonium contaminated waste that had been generated at Rocky Flats in Colorado had been shipped up to Idaho temporarily.
Yes,
It was
temporarily. Right.
and the barrels of plutonium contaminated waste generated at Rocky Flats were sitting on um, concrete um, floors, I guess you could call them
Oh.
outdoors. Just there were huge
Oh.
of um, of concrete that they were stacking the barrels of plutonium contaminated waste on, and the plutonium had managed to eat its way through the concrete and was contaminating the Snake River. And that was when that happened. There was a big push to to get this dump for the plutonium contaminated nuclear weapons waste shipped down to New Mexico.
They were going to ship one here. It was in the 80s, and my county fought it. They wanted to make a radioactive dump, and I've made a video on it. I mean, I took their video and I repackaged it. The activism around my area, and it was nonpartisan. Everybody was against it, and they won. And I know a lot of these activists still that are still living here. And it was called the Bump the Dump, big movement. So yeah. So listen,
Uh-huh.
what I wanted to move on to a little bit was the solar issue, because we had talked about, solar, and I had asked you. I was like, okay, I know you like solar. Hey, I have a solar backup battery in my house and the panels and stuff. But I asked you, okay, what about Ivanpah? What do you think about solar farms? And I told you I didn't like them. And what was your answer?
And I was surprised because you were really afraid that I was going to be mad at you and not even want to come onto the show because I was so
No, I
mad.
didn't say you were going to come on, not come on, but I hate solar farms. Everybody knows it.
Uh-huh.
I want nationalized. I mean, this is a dream now, but nationalized electricity power, and everybody's home is their own power generator, and we have to degrow the economies, degrowth while we're doing that. But I was so happy that you felt that way. You felt the way I do. So tell me about your vision for that.
Well, I am an advocate for rooftop solar. And here in California, one of the things we're fighting is there's a big outfit that wants to chop down Joshua trees, these ancient
Yeah.
trees in the desert
Woo,
east
we hate
of
that.
Los Angeles to create a solar farm. No, that's a horrible, horrible,
Horrible,
horrible.
horrible. I
And
think I think I have a
go,
crowd going, "Oh."
oh, look, we have a crowd.
Yeah.
So somebody just dropped off. Somebody who wants solar farms, I guess. But anyway, now all of a sudden I'm looking
Oh, they come in. Don't look at the numbers because
at any rate.
they're never
Um,
even accurate.
so at any rate, I want to say that California was one of the leaders in rooftop solar in the United
Yeah.
States. We have a burgeoning rooftop solar business. And our Democratic governor, Gavin Newsom, created policies that basically killed off our nuclear power industry. We were going to talk about Costco, and we may talk
Yeah.
about,
Oh, we're going to get there. I have
but
a flow.
let me bring Costco in
Yeah.
right now
Okay.
just to illustrate a point, and that is that there was somebody at Costco all of the time selling rooftop solar. And when Gavin Newsom changed the policies that made rooftop solar basically unaffordable for people, um, I had a conversation with this young man who had been, making a fairly decent living selling rooftop solar at Costco for quite a while, and he said he was going to have to pack it up and find some other way to make money because the business had virtually fallen off of a cliff. And I attribute that to Gavin Newsom, because the governor of the state of California appoints the the Energy Commission and the Public Utilities Commission, two different entities, but they both have something to do with the policies about affordability of rooftop solar. And one of the things that had made rooftop solar affordable and was that people could sell the excess electricity that they generated back into the grid. And that became that incentive was basically killed. And at the same time, Gavin Newsom, I think I started talking about this and then I trailed off, but
Mhm.
um, a few years ago, we had a historic deal to shut California's last nuclear power plant, from which I am downwind, by the way, Southern California. It would take about 5 hours for a radioactive cloud to hit a plume cloud to hit the greater Los Angeles area. Um,
Always got to
and
have your iodine.
Well, you have to have your iodine, but
And
more
all the other stuff.
contamination would make Southern California radioactive. And that radioactivity doesn't just poof go away. And a lot of people would be, property values would fall. It would not only hit this very highly populated metropolitan area, but it would also impact the one of the bread baskets of the United States, California agriculture. It would also be contaminated with radioactivity should the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant blow up.
They really like to gamble.
And the thing is, we had this great deal.
Hmm.
And the deal involved many of the stakeholders. The unions went along with it. There were incentives to make the workers whole so the workers wouldn't lose out. And, everybody, it was a win 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 situation. And a couple of years ago, Gavin Newsom, our Democratic governor, strong armed all of the people in the legislature, our legislators who were environmentally, for the most part, people who were really concerned about the environment, and strong armed them and told them he would ruin their careers. He's that powerful. He
Wow.
and he said, "I won't. I'll veto all your
Oh my
legislation,
God.
all of your environmental legislation, and you won't be able to do anything unless you abrogate this agreement to close Diablo." Diablo was supposed to close. There are
Hmm.
two units. The
Okay.
old unit, Unit One, was supposed to close last year in 2024,
Hmm.
and the other was supposed to close this year in 2025. And now PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, the operator of Diablo, is asking the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to extend the license to operate Diablo for an additional 20 years.
20
And
years.
and the thing is that the reactors at Diablo are among the most embrittled reactors in the entire United States. They're about, I think they're 24, 94, sorry, reactors now operating at commercial power plants in the United States. Diablo and Palisades in Michigan
Yeah,
had the two
absolutely.
most embrittled. And are you familiar with embrittlement? It's kind of, it's kind of intuitive just to think about something being
Yeah,
brittle,
yeah.
like plastic being brittle. And what
Ooh.
happens is that the inside the atomic reactor, the neutrons collide with the interior of the atomic reactor,
Hmm.
and each time there's a collision, there's a tiny micro fracture that happens. So these tiny fractures over the years make the material, the steel, um, more and more fragile. And when the reactors are hot, they're kind of like molten and the
Hmm.
cracks problematic. But in the event of, say, an earthquake, because, for example, Diablo sits on a nest of
I
earthquake belts,
know in
um,
California.
if they needed to shut the reactor down quickly and flood the reactor with hot water, I mean cold water, that's when the actual reactor could shatter like glass and release and create what would be something like Fukushima on the California coast.
Which absolutely it could happen. Absolutely. I always think we're gambling. We're just always taking these chances for power, for energy, more and more and more. And then you read about Bill Gates wanting to buy an open 3 Mile island for his whatever center. But then we learn that from DeepSeek, maybe they're not. We're getting sold a bill of goods. We really don't need that kind of power. It's kind of crazy.
Hmm.
David,
So,
David, California earthquake? Never. He lives in California. I just had him on as a guest the other day. He has a program called Crops, and it's natural carbon capture. It's not some tech bro shit. So, yeah.
right, cool. And by the way, Sandy, just a couple of years ago, there was a scientist, a seismologist, who mapped a vertical thrust fault directly below the reactors at Diablo. So not only,
Wow.
a few years ago, they mapped what is called the shoreline fault, which runs just about 100 yards from the intake for the water for Diablo. But now we also have evidence, scientific evidence, that there is a vertical. It's actually kind of on a diagonal, but it's called a vertical. But it is directly below. It is directly below the reactors and the nuclear power plant.
Wow.
So, there's a wonderful scientist at Stanford University named
Mm-hmm.
Mark Jacobson. Are you familiar with
Yes.
him?
Mm-hmm.
And Mark tells us that no miracles are needed, that we actually have all the technology that we need without nuclear power, without fossil fuel, without burning coal, et cetera, et cetera.
I know some of our people call him the hopium person, but like I like to say, look, there's always going to be these people that are going to work on these issues, and so I want to hear about them, and I want to learn about them, and because you can't say what are you going to do, nothing. I mean, it's never going to happen. And Jacobson does a lot of work.
And what he
Yeah.
demonstrates, and by the way, Mark Jacobson works with municipalities and state governments
Mm-hmm.
and countries all around the world and helps them to devise plans to get to 100% renewable. And he has shown over the last year that for at least a portion of the day, California has generated all of the energy it needs without fossil fuel and without nuclear power. And nuclear power actually blocks the development of sustainable energy in numerous ways. But you were about to say something,
I
so
was just
please.
going to ask you, what do you say about the mining things like Thacker Pass, where Max Wilbert was protesting against all the mining that's now being done in Thacker Pass. Will it ever get to a point where we won't need those kind of minerals? Or are we going to mine asteroids? Or are we going to get by Greenland? God.
Well, I can't say that I'm knowledgeable about what you're talking about the mining, but I
Okay.
do know that that a another nuclear meltdown that spreads radiation actually around the world, because I mean there would be the massive plume that would come spread out over California, but how does that what is the argument? Is the argument that
It's environmentally not sustainable to destroy the planet any more than we already have.
okay,
But
and therefore what? um
from the mining, is there
and
going to but again, like science does make discoveries. A lot of people are hoping that to use solar, that there will be discoveries made as time goes on where we won't need to do that kind of environmental degradation and damage,
mhm,
you know.
yeah, but what are the alternatives that he suggests, or does he?
Who? the
Oh, the you were
this is
saying.
just this is a mindset that, like Max Wilber, these are people that are just in a mode where everything should be more natural, but I don't really have the answer to what he says. Let me see what. Yeah, no, but well, Jordan says no power, but there's lithium mining is an unmitigated environmental disaster, and that's the problem. See, with everything that sounds good, then there's the other side. So it's a conundrum, it's a predicament, so to speak.
So I guess the answer to that, or the question that comes from that, is: are there more sustainable ways of mining lithium? Does it have to be the unmitigated disaster? Does
Yeah,
it have to continue in the way it's being done? Are there
right.
ways of mining lithium that don't have that horrible impact on the
Or
environment?
will it even always be lithium?
Right. In fact, salt. You know, China's been doing amazing research in terms of sodium batteries. They even have a fleet of automobiles that rely solely on sodium batteries. Now they're a little bit heavier than the lithium batteries. That's why lithium is preferred for electric cars, electric vehicles.
Hmm.
But China has developed a fleet of small electric vehicles powered by sodium batteries. They're tremendous breakthroughs there. They don't go as fast or as far,
Yeah, but why
but
do we have to? Why do we have to go so fast and so far? Perhaps maybe people should start living where their families are and stop all this bullshit. I mean, all this moving, retraction instead of growth, degrowth, retract. Stop all this insanity. I mean, that's how I feel anyway.
I agree.
It's insane. I can't even visit my family unless I fly, and I don't want to. But
So, Sandy, we talked earlier about
yes.
showing a video that
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
created a few years ago, and let me just set it up for you, for
I've
the
got
audience.
it. Yeah, you talk and I've got it, because
Okay,
we're gonna change up a little bit, guys, and so I could take, I have to sometimes take my little stand up break, but we
but, but I'd love to introduce it.
absolutely introduce it. Here we are.
So, I have a video channel, and it's my name, Myla
Mm-hmm.
Reson, very easy to find. And a few years ago, the youth runners from Standing Rock came out to Santa Monica, and we had a little gathering at the Santa Monica Pier that is not very far from my house, and I made a series of videos recording the youth runners who came out to tell us about their work to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, also known
Right.
as dapple.
Yeah, we were really into that. And where I live, we fought the Northern Access Pipeline, NAPL, at the same time, and we won. And it has never been built. And I was
So,
right in that one. Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to
All right.
humbly ask for everybody to subscribe and take a look at this video that
Yeah.
I did a few
And
years ago.
Myla's got so much on here, years of stuff. All right, everybody, it's time to sit back and watch. And it's really very nice. It is. Okay, here we go.
Oh, no sound.
Wait, wait.
We need the audio. Start
All right,
again.
hang
Stop.
on, hang on. Wait, I don't know why let me get the sound. I don't understand why the sound's not working. I had the sound working before. All right,
Oh,
just a minute. Nope, sometimes this happens. I have to, huh. Oh, I don't want this to be happening. God damn it, it was perfect. It was working earlier. All right, sound, just a minute. Everybody hang out. I will get the sound to go. Just a minute. Okay, we'll bring it back. We will bring it back and we will get the sound because if we can't have the sound, it's not going to work. All right.
right.
Yeah, I know. I'm
It's
looking
just
for.
great, but
Yeah, it was working. I don't understand why this stupid shit happens. It really pisses me off. It does. It really does. Source. Here we go. Sound. No. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Everything was perfect. It was perfect. It was just perfect. Let me turn. I'll get this out and back on. Well, everybody, when you have live, it always has some kind of stupid BS happen, and this is exactly what's happening right now. All right, let's see. Sound levels, which is output, and no, the output was right.
Andy, let me talk a little bit
Yeah,
about the
you
video.
talk while I'm doing this.
Okay, so um, these are the youth runners who came out, and one of those runners, the you see a young woman wearing a green beanie, or
Hmm.
as Sandy from what is that called in Canada? Would someone put that in the chat? What
Any
you call
Canadians here?
the what you call a beanie in Canada? I can't remember the name, but
Okay.
that the word for it anyway. The woman with the green hat,
Mm-hmm.
that she had a dream, a
I'll bring
vision.
her back up.
She was the one who started running.
I don't know why this.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and um,
Uh,
well, are we
yeah,
going to
go ahead.
scroll?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen because I did not download it. I was playing it right from here. We may not.
Oh,
Oh, I'm so disappointed. Sometimes
okay.
it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I don't understand because you see, I have a bar, it's a sound level bar, and it should just automatically should act. Oh, I got it. Wait a minute. Okay, I got it. Oh, we're going to be able to watch.
Okay,
Yep.
go
All
back to the
I,
beginning.
yep, I did not. That's what I didn't do was do that. Okay, here we go. Are you guys ready now that Sandy fixed it? Yay! All right, here we go.
You can remove me from this.
Hello, my name is Daniel Grasshoff. I'm from the Kuichashayate, Kuichasha Lakota from Labra, South Dakota. And I like to ask my elders for forgiveness before I speak, but I really feel like this is important what I'm about to say. Um, Yesterday, well, the word on my mind was unity. It was just going through my mind how to stick together with our group. But right now it's about forgiveness. And I really think that's important for our generation because our ancestors, our elders, and our moms and dads were oppressed for way too long. And they teach us how to hate the government, how to hate the white man. But really, we need to forgive them. Forgive them because they didn't know what they're doing to our people on the inside. And really, it's up to us to forgive them so we can move on, so we can build the bridges back to people around the world, back to indigenous people. And that means everyone, because everyone is indigenous to this world. And we can't hate the government. We have to change their minds. We have to let them listen to us, let them hear our voice so they can change. And you know, to be a part of that change, to make a group change, you have to be a part of that group so it can change. And that's what we need. We need people, we need environmental people that really have a strong heart to protect the earth, to go and run for them government positions so we can make a change. And also for the youth to step up. It's finally, we're awakened now, and we need to stay awake. Just like in the classrooms, we get restless, but that's when we gotta take a step back, and we understand that. But we gotta keep going, no matter how tiring, no matter how hard it is, we're gonna keep going. Whenever we said we're running for life, well, hey, it's the lifetime right now on Earth, and we're gonna run. That's all I have to say.
Let's dance. That was great. Yeah, once I got it in. All right. Well, let's come. We got to come back, but I want to show you your website a little bit more on here. Let's bring us back when I can find us. Here we are. All right, I found us.
I'm
Yay!
a docu.
So
Can you
you
stop
have
spamming?
you have. All right, wait.
Oh,
You have other videos. You know, she's got all kinds of videos on this channel, and so and there's a lot of history here, a lot of history on your channel, and and different interviews and different people talking about, this is 11 years ago, talking about Fukushima, radiation kills kids. So there's a lot of stuff. And look, you have the Tulsi Gabbard file, which we were going to talk about. We were going to honestly move on to a little bit of politics, only because she had the Off Fossil Fuels for a Better Future Act. But that was really nice. And I wanted to show the article you wrote for the LA Progressive. Why does nuclear power exist? Follow the money. The link is in the show notes for that. Okay. And I also just had something. This was Santa Barbara, not where you live, but it was nuclear incidents in Diablo Canyon Power Plant. And you can find all of the different ones, but as long as the government still keeps these things on, the federal government is taking all this stuff off. So it's really awful. It's really awful. But
Sandy,
yeah,
for Diablo, I highly recommend people going to Mothers for Peace. That's
okay,
mothersforpeace.org. That's an organization that I work closely with on Diablo,
all right,
and they are amazing. Mothers for Peace. In fact, that war is not healthy for children and other living things. You know, that
right,
famous saying
yes,
actually comes from that
yes.
organization. That's where it originated, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but I believe that's
No,
true.
more is not healthy for, yeah. But
You know
and
what?
here's your website. Brings us the California Solartopia, brings us the desperate human attempt to save enough of our global ecology to survive and thrive. We explore all forms of the ecological imperative, from green power and climate chaos to urban forest, wetland preservations, all those things we love here, and to end all plastics. We deal with local fights, from the Bologna wetlands to the Malibu fires, and especially the urgent effort to shut down Diablo Canyon. Yep. And national battles over fracking and 5G, global warfare over nuclear power, and third world recycling. That actually was where we were talking about the fast fashion and the horrors of the new fashions and all of the stuff that. Ugh. So what did you want to go on to next?
Well, we just got a couple more minutes because I think our plan is to
To go to
go
Matt, right?
to Matt at the end. And so let me just give a shout out to the Letter Hack and to
Yay.
Rovensky, because I was begging Matt for a cartoon Myla. And I think I was in conversation with Matt and Andrea. And Andrea actually suggested, Matt was saying, well, what do you think? What should I do? And Andrea suggested that I be in front of a couple of nuclear reactors with the stuff coming out, and Matt, and you can kind of see that little tiny cartoon down at the
Oh, I can make
bottom.
this bigger.
But
There it
um,
is.
and you actually opened the show with that.
Right
And
there.
if you bring it a little higher, you'll see my name is cut off at the bottom. There you go.
Uh,
Um, there, so that was Andrea decided
Yep.
what it would look, kind of what it
Yep.
would look like, and Matt delivered big time,
He
and
did. Well,
I'm so
he's an
grateful.
amazing artist. He's such
Just
a great
totally.
comic artist. So,
The
yeah.
letterhead. Oh my God.
No, why? Okay. Well, anyway, yes, he's
Yeah.
fantastic. He is fantastic. I don't know
So,
why so many little things are going on tonight. But all right, I moved us back down. So,
so we,
where did you want to go next before we
well,
don't have to end
we
yet?
got a couple of minutes. I wanted to say, well, I knew about Tulsi Gabbard. I think I was one of the first people. I'm not exactly sure how I got involved, but I just started digging deep many, many years ago and discovered her roots with this cult in Hawaii and
Yeah, she bamboozled us. I mean,
right,
I really liked the Off Fossil Fuels for a Better Future Act. I believed in it, in her. I didn't
right,
know. Oh,
right. Well, yeah, she turned, and as I told you when we were chatting before the video started, a friend of mine actually wrote the Off Fossil Fuels Act,
I know.
and
I want to hear about that.
he was surprised to learn, that she's not necessarily. I think she does really care about the environment to a certain degree, but she's a hateful, transphobic, xenophobic, um, homophobic, uh, power hungry
Uh, yeah.
person who, has shored up all of these horrible authoritarians like Narendra Modi. And I guess in the hearings, she's been saying, oh, she didn't really love Assad, or I don't know if
Well,
she's ever
she's
just.
changing her tune. But do these people? What I wanted to know would does the Republican Party even know that she sponsored the Off Fossil Fuels for a Better Future Act? And what do they, do they know that she was against fossil fuels, that she didn't want them, and now she's going to be they're putting her in for the House Intelligence? I mean, this is scary stuff.
Director of National Intelligence, I
Yeah.
think is
And from what
the
you're telling me, she is really connected to some not very nice people.
indeed, and one of the big ones, in my opinion, is Narendra Modi, who is really horrible. Um, why am I drawing a blank? All of a sudden, the one wonderful writer from India.
But that's
Um,
amazing that your friend wrote that. I did not know. I know she sponsored it, but I really thought she had something to do with that. And it's somebody you
well,
knew. Because it was really a good document, Off Fossil. It was a good document at the time. I used to interview people back when they were running in 2018 the Off Fossil Fuel for the Future plan, and they would talk about that back in 18. And so when she broke my heart, really
uh-huh.
did.
Oh,
Ah, well,
yeah. It's too bad she was never really for peace.
I thought she was
But
somebody different.
she fooled a lot of people to believe that she was for peace. But she used to specify that she was against regime change wars, but
Hmm.
she never said she was against war. And she came out with that against regime change wars when she was actually palling around with Assad. And
Yeah,
she was
crazy.
trying to she was trying to prevent any opposition from the United States government towards the Assad regime, and that's when she came out with her
Right.
regime change wars, as opposed to just being against war.
Yeah.
Militarist.
War is the worst. Alex says war is the worst. You know what? We'll take a few comments before we end. I really had wanted to talk about fast fashion, but we'll have to do that another time because that is really another big issue that we have not tackled on this channel. And it is horrible. The materials and all the things, how you and I were talking earlier about if I wash the clothes, they go out into my septic system, which could make its wet, the water then goes through, could make its way to the well, just like any water system. I don't even know if the treatment
Right.
plants can handle it. And then it just gets broken down and turns into stuff that goes into our systems. So that's
And
another show.
right, it's the polyester that the polyester is one of the worst, which is made from
Yeah.
fossil fuels. It's plastic, and the microplastic is shed from the polyester, goes out in the effluent, and it's responsible for microplastic all over the world
It's terrible.
in groundwater. But that's for
All right.
another
Another
discussion.
show. Yeah. All right. I have a question from David. David, who works with people to develop the crops. Uh, I'll have to, oops, I'll have to, you can watch the show we did. How do you feel? This is for you, Myla. How do you feel about? Oh shit! Where'd
Let
it
me see
go?
it. Let me see it.
I'm
How
getting
do I
it
feel?
back. How do you feel about combined grass plus sheep plus solar? We seem to work very well economically, environmentally, and the sheep get shade. That would be on a big area, farm area. I
Oh,
don't know,
cool.
David. I guess we'd have
Sounds
to. Yes, car. That's what he is. He's a. David is a. I'm going to bring it up. David is a carbon storage visionary, but it's natural. And I don't know if Jim Nassa is still here, but I wanted Jim Nassa to watch the show that I did, the presentation on crops, the system that we did last Friday. So see, I find this is the thing. I may feel some way, Mila, the big picture, it's pretty bleak, and I could go around saying, oh, we are so fucked all the time. But there's so many voices and so many interesting people that are out there with these ideas. And I just like to talk to them and bring them on. And if people don't like them, they don't have to like them, but they have to listen and learn what's out there. Because if we keep our head in the sand, we'll never know what's out there. And so I mean, I could stay, interviewing and talking about doom all the time, but I don't want to because there's so many fascinating people like you, like David, like Alex, who I had on the show. Oh, there's Jim, are you here? Jim. Science talk. Yeah, nanoplastics. He said that's also in the clothing. So
That's right.
he's one of our team.
Right. Right.
Jim's an oceanographer from up in Fairbanks, and he does shows with me all the time.
The polyester sheds nanoplastics and microplastics.
Yeah, it's awful. Oh, I wish we had time to do that, but I know that I wanted to try to keep it to an hour so we could go to over to the letter hack. Now he's got a whole different kind of show tonight. He does. It's not science. He's a comic. It's an artist. I think he's got an artist tonight, but it gives us a break, and I make this channel regardless of what I feel about the big picture. And I don't feel good about the big picture at all. I still, again, like to talk to interesting people and I say our motto, there's an environmental umbrella and it's a big one. And so why not bring people on that at least make us think? And if you hate it, you hate it. If you like it, you like it. It might just interest somebody. Maybe it'll inspire somebody to do something different. That's all, you know? And that's what I ask. That's really what I ask.
And I say, keep hope alive. I know things. I'm not a Pollyanna who says that we aren't in big trouble,
Right.
but we have
Of
to
course
keep
you're not.
trying. We have to keep trying.
Well,
And
it's you can't stop people from trying. That's what I say all the time. That is why I like to bring them on, even if, like I said, the bigger picture's terrible. But it is. I mean, we are in a political mess. And then, like we just talked about Tulsi, the phony. I mean, we have somebody who could. I mean, it's just Elon Musk is taking over the federal government databases. I mean, we didn't vote for this guy. I was very angry today. And I was feeling really defeated and I mean angry. I had a fight with two people today. I never fight with anybody. One was a schmuck ass on Facebook who did not want me to put this on his Facebook. I didn't want him to share it because talking to you, an activist, a lifelong activist could give people hopium. I'm like, okay, I'm not into the purity test. I was very angry. Okay, I had to calm myself down. Thank God there was Alex Hale out there. I was talking to him and he calmed me down. He's got, by the way, comic Alex Hale has I know it's X and X is horrible, but it's the Climate Crisis Club every Saturday where he assembles on spaces, which I know they're going to look for a better place. All these amazing people from all over the world that have, some are like me, some are, but just idea people discussing amazing things where I would never have the opportunity to speak with all these people from all over if he didn't assemble it. So I always give him a shout because I'm happy. It makes me happy. Ernie lives up in Canada. Ernie has a little channel too. He's so wonderful. Ernie is so wonderful. And that's another thing here. I was not fighting with you, Sam. This is Collapse Chronicles. You know the name of his channel. Totally. We were not, I never fight with him. He's a silly boy. Silly boy. He's like one of my best friends. We don't always agree on everything, but we are best friends. And I just want to say thank you to my moderators, Kim and Jean, tonight. And I know that Nina was here earlier. She wasn't feeling well. Looney Tunes, you're wonderful. He has some kind of fundraiser for Annie Fitzgerald. I did not know that she got cancer. Holy shit. She ran in the Green. But she run in the Green Party or the Democrats for a local office in Washington State? I didn't know. So I'll put this link into, I didn't know she was sick. But it's just you're inspiring because you know so much and you've done so much. That's why I say you're one of the grand dames of activism, because you did. You lived it. You were talking about things you did in the 60s. Hell, that's cool. I mean, we could go on and do so much more. So, here's a friend. Sandy, rooftop solar has been the answer for decades. We all knew when Reagan got elected and ripped Carter's solar off the White House who was pulling the strings. Fossil fuel fools, of course, idiots. Yep. And Elmo needs to have all of his government contracts revoked, his citizen revoked and deported. Who's going to do it though, Jim, now? Now that we're in trouble. We are in big trouble. But anyway, I'm trying to be... Oh, here. Does Myla know about the racketeering in the Ohio State House? First Energy Corporation bought Larry Householder to make us pay to prop up aging nuclear plants. He's in jail, but he stole the money.
I do know. It's a great, great story. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, there's so much we could talk about.
Karen's another amazing person. She's been on the show. She does the En-ROADS program. She teaches it and trains.
In fact, I have a video from years ago about First Energy that's up on my YouTube channel.
All right. Well, that's
talking
cool.
about First Energy is the operator of another decrepit nuclear power plant, the Davis-Besse plant.
Terrible.
A lot of corruption there.
Terrible. Well, if you guys are in the mood for another wonderful chat with amazing people, the Letter Hack is live now. Something completely different than what we do. And I just want to say thank you. We have had Myla, we've had a fundraiser for the Pasadena Animal Shelter. And I don't think anybody donated tonight, but people have been donating. We're going to have about $400 to send. And that's...
So I just say that you and I met through Andrea Ravinsky. We
crossed paths. We did
many years ago when she was doing her Every Morning Above It All series.
Every morning, and that's how we met. And she would make fun of both of us because that's what she does. She called us, we were her boomers. But she's great. Well, we do it every Wednesday. We're on the show, Left Past 10 every Wednesday night. I'm a guest on the panel. So, great. Well, great lifetime of dedicated work, Myla. Thank you for who you are.
Well, thank you, Jordan.
Jordan was an activist as well. I mean, a lot of us, Jordan was an activist in California as well.
I'm just saying I still am, so I don't like to say was. Maybe
they've kind of got they're running a I don't know if you know who Michael Dowd was, but he developed the whole post-doom series, and so they do support for people to deal with their angst, anxiety, sadness, and all for what's happening to the planet, and they're doing wonderful work. And his wife is named Karen Perry. She's just sunshine personified, and she's been my guest many times, and she has a great channel. And if you ever need any kind of support, they do groups, and she's fantastic. So we've got quite a group of wonderful people here.
Thank you so much for introducing me to your audience, Sandy. Really appreciate it, and that wonderful intro that you created, and I hope you'll have me back sometime.
Yeah, we've got to talk about the fast fashion.
We got a lot to talk about.
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And thank you, everybody, for coming. Letter Hack is next. If you want to go there. And I've got a little music to play. Oh, wait. We did not do the flush of the day. Oh, we have to do it. The Environmental Coffee House flush of the day. That's right.
Okay.
You don't know about that. We flushed down something horrible. So what are we going to flush? Nuclear energy? Okay. I thought so. Goodbye.
Nuclear. Bye.
Bye. We flush something every show. And if I didn't flush something, I'd feel terrible. I forgot to flush something. I forgot to flush last Sunday, and somebody brought it up and said, you did a whole show and you didn't flush something, and people wait. So, all right, guys. Good night. Peace. I love you all. Thank you for coming. And we're going to have almost $400 to send to Pasadena, which makes me really happy. So here we go. Let's dance it out, guys. Yes, we do. Woo!